Thank you for watching Hidden West. If you like my videos, please give them a thumbs up and subscribe. That would help them out a lot. The Anasazi, more appropriately known as Ancestral Puebloans, were a Native American civilization that flourished in the southwestern United States starting in approximately 200 BC. The term Anasazi is Navajo in origin and means ancient enemy. The Pueblo peoples of New Mexico understandably do not wish to refer to their ancestors in such a disrespectful manner, so the better term to use is Ancestral Pueblo or Ancestral Puebloan. Ancestral Puebloans were the people who lived in the famous cliff dwellings at Mesa Verde and other ruins in the Four Corners region about 1400 years ago. The Four Corners region is the area where the states Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico come together. Their descendants now comprise the modern Pueblo tribes of the Hopi, Zuni, Acoma, and Laguna. These ancient people had a booming culture in the area for more than 700 years. Ancestral Puebloan culture is divided amongst three main geographical areas in the western United States. These include Chaco Canyon in northwestern New Mexico, Kayenta in northeast Arizona, and the San Juan region of southwestern Colorado and southeastern Utah. The latter of these is where Mesa Verde National Park and Hovenweep National Monument are located. You can book a tour of many of these ancient ruins. They are in remarkable condition considering their age and the beating they take from the harsh weather. The Ancestral Puebloans lived in structures built from sandstone and adobe. Small families lived in pit houses. House clans lived in grand pueblos and the bigger structures. Many of these structures were built high in elevation for defensive purposes. The most notable of these structures are the cliff dwellings in Mesa Verde National Park. Most houses contain ceremonial rooms that are called kivas, rounded rooms often submerged where the ancestral Puebloans would gather for political meetings and spiritual ceremonies. These kivas contain a small hole in the ground called the sipapu, from which modern Pueblo oral traditions suggest that their ancestors actually originated. A sipapu symbolizes a portal to the underworld. Ancestral Puebloans are known for their pottery, which they used for cooking and storage, and possibly even trade. Not only did they craft this pottery, but they decorated it with textures, black paint, and colors. The Ancestral Puebloans painted pictographs into sandstone called petroglyphs. The paintings at Horseshoe Canyon even feature what is considered to be one of the earliest representations of three-dimensional graphical perspective. Some suggest that these ancient peoples may have studied the skies for generations. One of the most interesting examples of this is the Sundagger petroglyph at Chaco Canyon. High above the canyon floor are three slabs of sandstone shading a rock wall upon which two spiral petroglyphs are carved. This ancient method for revealing changing seasons was discovered in 1977 and truly highlights how scientifically advanced these ancient people were. Archaeological evidence suggests that the Ancestral Puebloans bred turkeys as a source of food and feathers. Turkey feathers were used to create blankets to keep the people high up in the cliff dwellings warm. They also were likely to have some sort of symbolic importance to the Puebloans, since even in modern times their feathers are ritually significant. The Ancestral Puebloans are thought to have emerged around 12th century BC and emigrated from their homelands in the following century. Why did they leave? No one knows for sure. Climate change, environmental degradation, and prolonged periods of drought are a possibility. Archaeologists have discovered that many of their home sites were likely established in periods of above average rainfall, making agriculture prosperous. The Ancestral Puebloans are believed to have begun farming around 100 BC. Various types of domesticated plants from Mexico, such as corn, squash, and beans, were introduced around 200 BC. The Anasazi were dry farmers who relied on unpredictable rainfall for growing crops. With advancements in more reliable farming techniques, the Ancestral Puebloans became sedentary town dwellers by approximately 500 CE. Archaeological evidence from sites in Chaco Canyon indicates that groups foraged the open grasslands during most of the year and returned to the sheltered canyon dwellings during the winters. Roads and platforms from which signals could be sent to neighboring groups point to how organized their communities were. They also had an extensive trade network that reached Mexico and the eastern plains. Puebloan pottery fragments have been found as far east as Ohio. By far, the most significant achievement of the ancient Puebloans was their use of stone and adobe construction to build large communal above-ground dwellings, predecessors of the pueblo. The cliff dwellings of Mesa Verde are some of the most spectacular examples of ancient North American stone construction. Established December 8, 1906, Montezuma Castle is the third national monument dedicated to preserving Native American culture. It's a 20-room, multi-layered apartment structure nestled in a limestone cliff. For most of the long span of the Ancestral Puebloans, they lived in the open with easy accessible sites within the canyons. By about 1250, however, they began the construction of the settlements high in the cliffs. The cliff dwellings offered defense and protection. They were also well preserved by the dry climate and by the stone overhangs. But the Anglo explorers who found them in the 1880s named them the Cliff Dwellers. Toward the end of the 13th century, some cataclysmic event forced the people to flee these cliff houses and their homeland and to move south and east toward the Rio Grande and the Little Colorado River. Just what happened has been the greatest puzzle facing archaeologists who study the ancient culture. Today's Pueblo Indians have oral histories about their people's migrations, but the details of these stories are not revealed. Historians agree that the ancient Puebloans emigrated from their homes in the 12th and 13th centuries. During the mid-1100s, the North American climate began to change. From 1276 to 1299, a great drought devastated the area, lasting for about 300 years. In 1257, a massive volcanic eruption in Indonesia plunged the globe into a volcanic winter and led to the Little Ice Age. Several archaeologists and historians agree that such environmental factors played a major part in the disappearance of the Ancestral Puebloans. The drought and resulting crop failure may have forced them to leave in search of water. Now, the question of cannibalism and the Ancestral Puebloans is also close by, but the ancestors of this ancient group deny any aspect of it. Where they migrated to remains a mystery, however. The implication is that many of the Ancestral Puebloans appear to have joined a smaller population already living in the North Rio Grande region. Their descendants form the Tiwa Pueblo population that still lives there today.